Not going to go through a lot of slides, but do want to talk, some of this I'm sure you guys know, but just to level set, change and release are everything, right? You want your changes to be done in an efficient manner. You don't want to impact your customers. You want to make sure things happen. And as Dick was saying, you need to have them happen in a timely fashion. Now, within the Helix ITSM suite, change and release, both of those solutions are packaged together. For the purpose of today, we're really focusing in on change, but release is a way to package change and activities together and move them through the release process until you get to the point where you can deploy the software. Helix ITSM does not deploy the software. Those are other tools, whether some of the BMC tools or the Atlassian tools that will distribute software. But the idea is you have something big going on. It's not just one release, but maybe that end user site that Dick was talking about. You need a whole bunch of changes. You need to move them through. You need to be coordinated and get them approved, et cetera. So release is part of the package. Not going to spend a lot of time. It's probably the most time I'll spend on it, but really focusing in on change. And really, change can be overwhelming. Change can be simple. And so we kind of want to walk through the ideas of what you can do with change and how you can make it right for your organization. And Helix Change Management helps by these kind of ways. Again, both change and release. So when you're ready to start doing release management, you can absolutely do that as well. It is available in the cloud, and that means that once you're up and going, BMC is taking care of the upgrades. You can access it from anywhere, not behind a firewall, so everybody working from home can still access it and without you having to change anything in your environment. I was just reading about somebody who had recently joined an organization and got charged with opening up all the firewall ports and things so people working from home could still access it. And she didn't actually have that experience, but luckily there was some kind of web help or she had a menu she walked through, she was able to do that. So by having this available in the cloud means you can get to it wherever you are. Do you want to talk more about the tight integrations with Discovery and TrueSight? And we'll talk about that toward the end of the demo. But those are a way to enrich your change management process, not required for change management, but certainly help you. And I won't read the rest of the slide. You'll see this as we go through around risk, collision detection, impact analysis. Okay. So when we talk about change, as I mentioned, it could be simple or it can get much more complex. And we're going to show you some ways to do this here. So the demo, we're going to just capture some changes, keep it real simple. Then we're going to start making them a bit more complex or a bit more useful maybe with templates and tasks and look at the change calendar. Where they're going to talk about how you can do more complex change management because you start tying it to your configuration management database, and that gives you the ability to start using change collision and some other things as well. We're going to talk about something, task phasing, which you may or may not know is available in change management. And then finally, we'll talk about how you can continue to enrich the change management by other solutions that are available from BMC. Key thing is with Discovery, you get your dependency map so you know if you're doing a change against an asset, what all is it going to impact? And the really cool thing about TrueSight, I'm sure some of you know about its tight integrations with Incident, but you may or may not know that you can actually in change, when you start working on a change, you can have it send a message to TrueSight to say, mark all these servers as being in maintenance mode, and that way you're not getting a bunch of alerts for servers that were brought down due to a scheduled change. And so TrueSight is BMC's operation management product, alerting product, manager of managers, all that kind of thing, but it does have that nice integration with Remedy Change Management. A couple success stories. I promise I'm not reading you these slides, but just know that the Helix Service Management, the ITSM suite, is being used by a lot of companies, both small and large, and change management is an intricate part of their business. I included this one really because they included not just the IT infrastructure, but you can see down here things like DevOps, SecOps, and AI Ops as well to start tying things together, making sure they've got that full blueprint. Everybody knows what's going on. And again, they are using TrueSight to help them on the operations management side. This other story I included really because they're doing 100,000 changes a year. That's pretty incredible. So they're able to use the Helix ITSM platform to help do those changes in an efficient basis. You're not doing 100,000 changes a year by having a 32-level approval process and having everything manual. That's automation. There are things going on in there, and they've been able to make that work with Helix Change Management. I just thought that was a great story there. And again, we will be sending out the recording after this, so you can pause on this part and take a deeper look. Let's go ahead and see what this looks like in action. I am going to be using the Smart IT view. For those of you using the mid-tier screens, the best practice screens, these capabilities are in there as well. It's just a question of the look and feel and how you get to it. But everything I'm going to talk about today is absolutely available in the best practice screens as well. As I said, people sometimes overcomplicate change because BMC's ITSM suite gives you so much. It's easy to think you need to do everything on day one. And I wanted to start off by saying you don't. You can start off very simple on a change. So I'm just going to do a normal change. I'm going to say, open up some ports because everybody's working from home. And you can see over here, it's telling me in Smart IT that I still need to say what the risk is, but everything else pretty much defaults. So I can go ahead and come down to this risk, and I'm just going to say it's a pretty low risk, and boom, I've got this change submitted. So if you want to, you can do pretty easy change management. You can then move this through the statuses. You can make sure people are doing the right kinds of things. You can fill in other fields as you want to. And that's what I meant to hit on. You can move it through the stages, get it assigned, get the time tracked, etc. Keep it pretty simple. Obviously, having a little bit more in this gets it a little bit more robust. So I'm going to create another new change request, still going to do it from scratch. And maybe I'm going to, I'm going to expand my VPN. Actually, I'm going to expand my billing server capability. Billing server capability. We know customers are going to be hitting it. They want to pay their bills, so we're going to go ahead and expand that capacity. So now I'm going to do a couple other things. I'm going to go to this one and actually say, well, I'm affecting my billing service, so let me go ahead and find that into my CMDB and attach it to this change. I would hope that most of you, even if you don't have your CMDB fully filled in, that hopefully you're at least filling in business services. By having the business service attached to this change, my business service owner is going to be able to do reporting, know what changes went on against it, and I'm going to know that's happening as well. And then probably a good idea to put some dates in here, right? I'm going to go ahead and say we're going to start this in April, expand our capability. It's going to take me a couple days. And now we're starting to get the idea of change collisions, and we're getting the calendar a little bit involved. This is kind of the operational calendar, not the full change calendar, but this has already given me tons of information. There are some changes that are colliding. That means they have the same billing service, and we overlap start and end dates. So that may be okay, may not be okay, but again, I'm getting some information even from just having billing services in here if I may be stepping on other people. Again, it does remind me I need to do my risk level, and boom, I can now submit this change. And it's a little bit more intelligent, got a little bit more information in it. Again, not a lot of work. It was saying people don't want to do changes if they're going to take a lot of work and a lot of time, and they don't. Now, as part of this change, I might say, you know what? I also need to add a task. I need somebody to do something to expand this capability, this capacity, and I can either add it from scratch or from a template. Need database admin to allocate more table space. I don't know, whatever it is. This is a children record of a change. In this case, I am doing it manually. We're going to look at something where I don't have to do this manually. But now I've got a task attached that I can assign out to other people. They can start working on it. They can do what they need to do. So this is great. I'm hoping you're saying, hey, change and remedy doesn't have to be complicated. I can get a change in. I can get it assigned. I can get a task. I can get it working. I can get it completed. But obviously, if you want to take advantage of some of the other features, the first one I'd recommend is a template. You've seen these in incident management. The idea with templates is being able to pre-fill out a change. This particular template also does a couple things for me. It's actually already attached a configuration item from my CMDB, so I don't need to worry about doing that. It's also, once we save it, we'll see that it does have tasks attached automatically as well. I still kind of consider this stage one of change. You know, I had that 1, 2, and 3. Templates aren't hard to make. They're easy to apply. I can come through here, and I can have the right kinds of things happen. But again, pretty simple. I think I had the risk level even, so all I had to do was select that template, submit it. And what we're going to see when this change gets created is now I have some task attached without me having to do them manually. All the data in the change is filled out appropriately. I didn't have to do that. So all those kinds of things get done for me from the template. And also, again, is attached an item from the configuration management database without me having to do it. Templates make your life easier when you have changes that you do on a regular basis. Setting up an employee with VPN because they're going to be working from home now. Clone, 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 clone. That's happening a lot right now. And you can, of course, copy change request and set that up. So use templates, use a copying, make these things easy. All of that, I think, is pretty straightforward, pretty easy, basic change management. But some of you out there are saying, yeah, we need a bit more than that, Anne. We want to take more things that we can do in Remedy. Still going to use the same template because it's an easy template to use. I'm going to do a couple things here. I'm going to move this to extensive. Doing this restart is going to bring me down everybody. It's the end of the month. Everybody's paying their bills. I just want to make sure everybody knows it's extensive widespread. Again, I can go ahead and put some dates in. I don't think I did that on the last one, but let's go ahead and put some dates in here. We're going to start it in major, but I'm not starting it for a couple weeks. You all can laugh at me about that. But again, purposes of demo, we just like to show some things going on. I can see it on the calendar here. And now I'm going to do something different on my risk analysis. I'm not going to overwrite it manually. Again, phase 2 of change, not just using a template, which attaches a CI, but now I'm going to use risk questions to set my risk. Does it need to be done during business hours? Absolutely. Never did this before. Can't test, can't be rolled back. This is going to be a high-risk change, obviously. You can set up these risk questions. They can be different for different kinds of changes. So your app dev changes would have a different set of questions than perhaps the operations changes would have, or the new employee changes, or whatever it is. They can be based upon categorizations. So you get the right set of questions for this change. So now you're not letting people set the risk level manually. This can be a little dicey. You're getting it set through the things that they answer here, and that can trigger the approval process, which we're going to talk about in just a second as well. So I've got all these things. I already had my CIs because of the template. Of course, because of the calendar, I saw change collisions. I did my risk analysis. I'm going to hit this last tab that we haven't hit yet. And this is where you can say, well, again, as changes get more complex, we're going to want to go ahead and make sure all the documentation is there. We'll just add something here. So documentation can be easily added. And I believe this was my requirements doc. I'll just type that in. Actually, we had snow last Saturday here in Washington, and somebody did a whole bunch of small snow people. It's actually what that's a picture of. But we'll pretend it's my requirements doc. So you can make sure people are attaching the things that they need to do. And if they need to do more, they can always go to another type of document and add it. So now I'm getting a very complete change. And I'm going to pause for a second and walk through these tabs again. Again, a whole lot of information, including I modified what the template put in. I don't need to attach CIs because my template automatically attached one. This is change collision, which can be very useful if you're going to come in and work this weekend. You want to make sure you're not colliding with others. I did risk questions. So this is a more robust, rich change than we had before. The other thing I'm going to do when I submit, which I didn't do on the prior ones, is I'm going to prepare an impact analysis. What is impact analysis? This is saying I attached the billing application server to this change record. Because I have rich data in my CMDB, it's going to find out what all it impacts. And then the question, of course, is, Anne, how do we get that rich data into our CMDB so I can do impact analysis? You can, of course, do it through manual inputs, but we, of course, recommend BMC's discovery tool. I have it here. This is not a discovery demo. We're just going to quickly take a look. But what BMC's discovery do, it used to be called Atrium Discovery and Dependency Mapping, is it builds out those relationships in your data center, so you're going to be able to start seeing those relationships. We bring them into the BMC, into the CMDB, and so when I'm working on my change, if I'm bringing down this server, it's going to tell me everything that I'm impacting as part of my change request. You can see there's a whole lot of stuff here. I'm going to scroll down a little, telling you that my server, my Remedy server, has 5 hosts related. It's got an application, a multi-cloud example, got some software, some runtime environments, et cetera, et cetera. And I can continue to get a lot of information from the BMC discovery tool. And we're going to see in a second how by piping this into the BMC, CMDB, we're going to get that help on the Remedy side as well. But I just always love to click on things and just show you again, you can keep expanding this, see what's out there. So if you are looking at what's in your data center or data centers, you're planning moves, conversions, whatever, or you want to really enrich your change environment within the ITSM product, this is one of the things we would absolutely recommend. You're going, okay, Ann, what does this mean for me over on the Remedy side? Let's refresh this. And we can see that we're going to first jump to the impact analysis. I brought the data into my CMDB. I brought it in with impact relationships, and now I'm able to see that the only one I attached to my change was the billing application server, but now it's impacting all of this stuff. And I may not have known that, maybe Dick Stark came in last weekend, put sonogram imaging on this server without telling me. Well, Discovery will run, Discovery will find it, it'll update the CMDB, and now I know, and my change approvers will know, hey, this is also going to be a complete part of this. I'm going to attach everything to my change request. I'll just do that again. I can choose just to do services, relate everything, because this doesn't have that many CIs. I'm going to go ahead and relate everything. And now those are all attached to my change request. Over here, we can see those being attached to the change request. So this is the one I related through the template. These all came off the impact analysis. Now some of you are saying, Ann, you said something about approvers. So because I set this to an impact of 1, I have a rule saying, hey, when it's got an impact of the impact of 1 is the highest impact, it needs to go through an approval process. So here I can see it's awaiting approval. I can see I happen to be logged in as Alan, so I can actually approve this. You can have one person approve it. You can have multiple people. It can be parallel, sequential, and it can be done at different stages of the change request. So you might have a technical review approval, a business review approval. Do we want to pay for it? You might have an implementation, or we're about to implement. Do we still want to do this? Do we still want to bring down the VPN system, and we just send everybody to work from home? And then a close down approval. Did we do it well? So approval is absolutely part of change. And as an approver, I would have been able to see all the collisions. I would have been able to see all the tasks, all the configuration items impacted. So I'm doing my approval with some knowledge here. Now, if they don't come into the system, they will, of course, get an email, and they can approve or reject via email as well. But obviously, the data is generally richer within the system. Now, one thing I realized I haven't shown is the change calendar. We saw that one while I'm building the change, but here's the change calendar in Smart IT. Some of you may not have seen this yet. In the best practice views, there's also a calendar view. But here I'm looking at the calendar. I can look at it by a month. I can look at it just for a week, for a day. So kind of however you want to look at this calendar, you can go ahead and come in and see what kinds of things are going on. So there is a change calendar where I can see my changes. I can also see business events, outages, all open. You can see that as well. And you can see if I wanted to go to the next month, or just go ahead and hit enter. And now I've got some of the ones going on next month. So there's a good change calendar, and as soon as you put start end dates, they're going to be on there. So deep breath, that was phase 2. A little bit of phase 3 thrown in. That was a change request where we did a template. We triggered an approval process. We did the risk questions. We did the impact analysis because my data was enriched from the BMC discovery tool, which kind of had a stage 3, but obviously they both pull in. So we're in a new level here. We're doing good here. I want to show one other thing. And again, I just don't know how many people know about this. If you are familiar with change, you may or may know about this, or you may be using change and not being aware of this. I'm going to use this template that I've called planned phase task template, because I couldn't really think of a good name. And what's different about this is it does go ahead and create a set of tasks, but they create them at different phases. If you remember, if you recall, a few minutes ago I said approvals could be done at 4 different phases. Well, tasks, you don't always want to do them at the implementation phase. You may want to have some tasks at the review phase. Maybe there's some documentation you need to look up. You need to consider the impact on other systems. You need to see if you need to buy new software, if you need to upgrade your Tomcat, whatever. There's some research you want to do. That might be done at the review phase. But then you can see when it actually comes to implementation, I have tasks I want to do there. So if you use a template, a change template, you can do task phasing, where you have some tasks at different phases. And these are the phases you can do them at. You can task and review, task for the business approval phase, and task in the implementation phase. Because what was happening before BMC introduced this, and it's been there for quite a while, people had to put all their tasks into implementation, and so they missed some things early on in the planning stage. So really nice to do task phasing. If you need help with that, of course, contact your RightStar account manager. We can certainly get a consultant working with you to help you enhance your change on that way as well as anything else you see here. The task phasing, I really think, is a stage 3 because most customers aren't ready to do that. Discovery integration, I also consider kind of a phase 3. Customers aren't always ready to do that at once, and you don't have to. But as you continue to enrich your change, those are things that can help you. Really, the last thing I want to talk about is the TrueSight integration. And I know I referenced this very briefly. I also know I talk real fast, so I want to reference it again. TrueSight has an integration with the Helix incident management system. And for those of you that haven't heard about it, the idea is it can pop in incidents with impacted configuration items as well as causal configuration items. So as you're working on your incident tickets, you're able to start seeing what caused the problem, which server went down, and then what all is impacted. Oh my gosh, all my customers on the West Coast are impacted because this server went down. And you want to see that. Change has a different kind of integration with TrueSight. In this case, it's, hey, I'm going to be putting a whole lot of servers on maintenance mode. I'm going to be working on them. I'm going to bring them down because I'm expanding their memory, their capacity, whatever I'm doing. I don't want to get a whole lot of events. You can see I've got lots of events coming in here on this particular service and event summary. I don't want to see events when I know I'm bringing that server down. Don't bother me. So change management will send a message to TrueSight saying, hey, mark these servers as being in maintenance mode, and when you bring them down, you won't get the events. It makes your operations people's jobs so much easier. You don't want them calling you saying, hey, all these servers are done. You're like, yeah, I know, because you're taking care of it. So a really nice tight integration. And again, not doing a TrueSight demo, but oh my gosh, there is so much capabilities in TrueSight in terms of tracking events, acknowledging events, linking it to the Remedy CMD, the ITSM CMDB, being able to resolve things from within TrueSight, all those kinds of things. And the other key thing I wanted to mention, and now I can't, I'm drawing a blank on it. I was going to mention something else really cool about TrueSight. I remember TrueSight's in the cloud. So most of the TrueSight package had been moved to Helix already. Helix monitoring, the final piece of TrueSight that wasn't available on Helix in the cloud, is available as of, Dick, I want to say a week and a half ago. I probably shouldn't be quoted on that. It's very recent. So for those of you that have been kind of saying, TrueSight's very cool, we're just not quite ready to put it in our environment, it is available up in Helix as well. So again, not going to do a TrueSight demo today. You don't want me doing a TrueSight demo today because I'm not the expert here, but it is a very cool application. And again, tied in tightly with change. So it's a final way, I would say, to go ahead, enhance your change management, and really get to that full stage. I'm not sure where you all are in your change management processes right now. And I kind of arbitrarily linked it down into these stage 3s. Do your stages however you want. But key thing is you can do very simple changes in Remedy. Don't think you have to roll out everything. But as you're using it and you want to leverage it more, you can get more complex, do more things, make them richer, and that's going to make your changes more successful. And of course, as always, if you have questions or you need help with that, you can contact your RightStar contacts, your account manager, etc., and we'd be happy to help you out and get that all going. If you are, especially you want to see more on TrueSight, or Discovery. Let us know that as well.